In last session, we discussed about creating drill down reports, and you have seen what is drill down report, right? Where you have plus sign and you can expand and collapse based on your based on the data that you want to see or based on your requirements. Now, and also we have seen matrix report and tabular reports using report wizard. And we're not going to use this report wizard. Why? Because once the report wizard, using report wizard, you can design any one of these two, like either matrix report or tabular report. There are another report templates available. If you have to go for any other kind of report like list report or charts, then you have to go for report template rather than report wizard. Now, in this session, and from now onwards, we are not going to touch the report wizards. Why? Because we don't need that. People don't prefer that. Why? Because it is very, very limited. Very limited functionality, I can say. Once you finish designing the report using report wizard, once the report design is done, then if you observe, it is just like a plain report where you can make changes. If you use a plain report or a report template, then you can do changes, right? Or you can design your own report in the same way using report wizard. Once you reach the finish step, the final step, that is the last page of the wizard, then this will be the output. And once you generate, once this report is ready, then it is like a plain report, not a wizard, not a report created using wizard. Why I'm saying this, here you can modify the report like you want, like you wish. It's not a restricted one that you created this report using wizard and hence you cannot modify it. So in short, to make the thing short, report wizard will help you in defining the report with some default or the minimum functionality. Once the report is designed or generated, then you can edit just like editing a normal report which you created using report template. So what's the use in seeing or discussing about this report wizard? At the end, it is going to be a report, simple report like the one you created using report template. Now, what I'm trying to say here is using this report template or report wizard or using this report template is one and the same, except this report wizard will help you in finishing the things like creating the data source and data set easily than using the report template. Now let me show you how to create a report using report template. I'm naming it as first template. And when I've taken report wizard, you have seen a wizard open and where you have given data source and data sets and so on. But if you open report template, you can see an empty template empty template is open and there is nothing like data source, data set or whatever it may be. It's just an empty template. So everything is on your head to do the business here. It's not the SSRS server which will take care of creating the data source and data sets. You have to do everything. Which one is better if you are among these two? If you ask me, I'll say better go with the report template rather than report wizard. Report wizard will help you in creating the data source and data set and generate a basic level of report. You cannot modify anything there. Once it is finished, again you can modify the things, but it is not a great benefit that you are going to get. Okay, let me tell you an example. If you want to generate a list report type, if you see the toolbox, you have table, matrix, list, or sub reports, charts, and so on. You have so many report items available here. If your intention or if your requirement is to generate a list report, you cannot achieve that using report wizard. And if your requirement is to generate a chart, you cannot do it using report wizard. So it is limited. It is only for table report and matrix report, and that is why I don't like to go with the report wizard always. Why? Because it's easy to adopt to one particular way, but one particular method which fulfills all your requirements. So I feel report template is the best option rather than report wizard if you are working in real-time projects. And if you're practicing the things and if you're a fresher to the SSRS, better go with report wizard to generate basic reports and see how report server works, SSRS works. And then once you become familiar with SSRS reports, basic reports, then you can use report template to generate different kind of reports. So I think you are good in report wizard, using report wizard, and hence we are not going to use this anymore. Once again, I'm showing you what is meant by report wizard. It is this one, report wizard, which will walk you through the different pages that is available in this, where you can provide the query and so on, blah, blah, blah. At the end, a report will be generated like we have done in last session. You can see the matrix report with drill down and table report with the drill down are generated using report wizard. Now this is the first report. First template is the name of the report that I have given, which we are gonna use report template rather than report wizard to generate our reports. Now you can see it's an empty, nothing there in the report area, and no data sets, no data sources, and nothing. You have to follow the same steps what you have done in report wizard. The first step what we have done in report wizard is creating the data sources. So here also create the data source. In this session we are going to discuss about in and out of data sources and data sets. So to create a data source, after taking a report template, you will get this page. Here you can see the report data. If this report data is closed like this, I've closed the report data, and I'm closing everything. Nothing is open. Now, how to open this report data? Where you can find that? You can find the report data under view option, the last one, or you can go for Alt Control D to open the same. And to open the toolbox, you can find it here. Alt Control X is the shortcut for toolbox. If you open these two at a time, then these two will be docked into one dockable window. If you see, this is the toolbox, and if you click here, it will be report data. Now let's see how to create the data source. When you select this option, add data source, you are familiar with this, right? There are two types of connections. One is embedded connection and another one is shared data source. So the first step is you have to give some name. I'm giving AdventureWorks data, ADV data. Better give underscore, no spaces, but in the name. And here, the next option is select whether it is embedded connection or shared data source. If it is shared data source, that means you created some shared data source, and in that case, you can give reference to the shared data source, whatever you created. Simple. This is simple one. Okay. And if it is embedded, then go here, and if no data source is created in the shared data source folder, then you can go here and give your credentials. Either way, depends on your requirements. If, as I told you in last session, if all the 500 or 600 reports are pulling the data, from one single database, that is same database, then in that case you can go for a shared data source and give the reference using the option use shared data source reference. Okay, and let's say you have not created any shared data source. For example, for time being, let me delete these two reports. I don't want this anymore, which we created using report wizard. And also I'm deleting the shared data source, which was created when we were working on report wizards. Now, if you see, there is no shared data source, there is nothing. This is the first report I can say. Okay, this is the first report I'm gonna design in this solution. Now, if I select add data source, then you can see these two options, and again you can give some name for this. Under add shared data source reference, there is nothing. So now if you want to create a shared data source, and if you want to make use of the created shared data source in this particular report, then you can go for the option new. If you click on new, it will open a page where you can define the data source details, like I'm connecting to AdventureWorks localhost, and I'm connecting to AdventureWorks. You can see it here. Okay. Now, if you see, a shared data source is created and it is available. Okay. If you let me select this, click on OK. What I've done here is I created a shared data source and given reference to the shared data source here in this report. Even though I created a shared data source and I can use the same in all the reports, but still in every report you have to create a data source to give reference to the shared data source. Here I am not creating a new data source. Here I am giving a reference to the new data source. If I want to go with a new database connection instead of a shared one, then you know very well how to do that. Add new data source. Instead of a shared one, go with embedded. I'll name it as embed. Here you have to specify the credentials. Let's say I'll point to localhost and I'll take AdventureWorks database rather than AdventureWorks DW. So this is how you can create embedded shared data sources and shared data sources. And you can create more than one. And you can see the icon here, which means it is shared. It is not the one. If it is the embedded one, then it looks like this. If it is shared one, then it looks like this. You can see the icon change, right? So, and the option here is use single transaction when processing the queries. That means it won't take breaks. It will read the complete data, the complete select statement that you are going to execute to fill the data set will be considered as one single transaction. That means either full data or nil data. Transaction, we will discuss about these transactions in SQL Server Advanced Concepts. Keep in mind that if you check this option, it will consider the complete select statement that you are going to execute as one single transaction. And credentials, if you want to specify any credentials, you can specify it, and this is a shared one, you cannot set it here. You cannot specify the credentials here. For the shared data source, you can do it only here in the data source, in the shared data source, or go to this. Let me pin this one here. It is always docking, and I'm opening it again and again. Here you can provide the credentials. Credentials means what kind of security you want to provide to connect to the data source. I've used Windows security, that is fine. And if you want to pass any username and password, you can pass it, and you can also provide do not use any credentials. So let's leave it to Windows credentials here. And in embedded, as this is not a shared one, you can provide the same information here. Okay, so this is the different options that are available in the data source. And if you right click on this, you can find the data source properties to modify if you wish to modify anything. And you can simply double click the same to open it. Okay, here also I'm using single transaction when processing the queries. So this is about data sources. This is about how to create the data source when you use report template. So in report template, in report wizard, this thing will be created automatically when you provide the details in your first page of the wizard. If you want me to show that, this is the first page of the wizard. Here, if I click on next, that means I'm asking the server to create a data source using the option shared data source to that new report that I'm going to generate. Okay, the first page talks about data source, and the second page talks about the data set. That means the data set is nothing but the one which holds the data, which pulls the data from your database and holds in the form of tables. So for me, data source is ready. The next thing I have to do is getting data. I have to get the data that I wish to display in the reports. So for doing the same, I have to go for data sets. So let's see how to create the data sets. There are so many options available in the data sets. First, let's see how to create a simple data set. So for creating a simple data set, go to add data set, and here you have a similar option like data sources. What we have seen in data source, you can either use a shared one or you can use an embedded one. Okay. So if you use the option shared one, you have to provide the shared one. There is nothing available. If you use the option embedded, then you have to specify the details here. First, let me go for shared one. For doing the same, I need to have one data set ready at least, right? Add new item. I'm going for data set. And the name I'm giving for it is prod sales, let's say. And I can go for either the shared data source, that is AdventureWorks, or I can create a new shared data source. Okay, let me go for AdventureWorks. Here you can give two types of queries. One is text and another one is stored procedure. First, let's go for the text, and then at the end of the sessions, we will have a look at stored procedure too. So for text, I'm writing a simple data set, or I will use query designer, okay, to generate the same. So in last session, we generated a query, but I don't have it handy now. So let me recreate it. I've taken dim product table, and you can see the query will be changing in the bottom. And next I'm taking fact internet sales, and from this I'm taking English product name, and I'm gonna take color, and I'll take class. And from this fact internet sales, I'm gonna take I don't want many. I'll take only sales amount and the tax amount, also freight amount. Okay, these two are enough. Now the query is ready. The data set, I have taken the query. This is using the option query designer. And you have one more option, that is import. You can import it from any SQL file that you have. For example, let me copy the same query. I'm copying the same query here. Okay. And I'm storing it as test.sql. That means I'm storing it as SQL file. Now I'm deleting the query which I have written or generated using query designer. Now I'm importing it from the file. If I specify the file path, then it will go get the query that is present in that particular file and copy the same to your query path. And the third thing, refresh fields, we will discuss about it in next session. And fx path, this is expression. You can provide the query dynamically. Instead of a static query, you can provide it dynamically. You can maintain it in the database and provide it here. I will explain you about that. Expressions, it's a vast concept. It's a heart of SSRS, and you need to spend a couple of sessions on expressions, completely on expressions. So when we discuss about expressions, we will discuss about this option that is available in the dataset page. Now we have seen using query designer and import, and this is the query type is text. And this timeout, if you give it as 0, then it will take infinity. It will try to get the data. If you, without having any timeout option, if you specify 5 to 10 seconds, then it will try to pull the data. And if there is a break for 10 seconds, that means it will think that the connection is lost. Or it will throw an error saying that timeout. I'm expecting data, but database is not sending data to me. So it will generate a timeout error. So keep it to 0, click on OK. The data set is ready. Reports our data set. So prod underscore sales. Now a shared data set is created. Let me go to the data sets and see. When I have this option new shared data sets, you can see the shared data set is available and I can select this. Okay, let me give the name. I'll give it as sales, and I've selected this and click on OK. Once I click on OK, it will get all the columns that are present, and we call it as fields from here onwards. This is the data set and this is the fields of the data set. Now let's go and create one more data set using another option that is embedded in my report. If I use the second option, whatever the query that I'm going to write here will be specific to this particular report where I'm generating this data set. It is not like a shared one. So you must understand the difference between shared one and the embedded one. Embedded one is specific to a report, where a shared one is a public. It can be used by any report in the solution. Okay. Now let's see how to create. First, what I have to give? I have to give the data source. I have two data sources here, ADV and embed, whatever I created. So I'll go for ADV. And what type of query? It is a text query. I have copied it, and it is still in my it is still available with me, so I copied the same and same option, remaining things, and click on OK. You can see a data set is created. So these are the two different ways using which you can create the data sets. The first one is using embedded shared data set. That is, I created a shared data set here, and the same data set can be used in any report and in n number of times. Okay, that's the advantage of shared one. And the second data set I created here is an embedded one, which is specific to this particular report. Let me rename it as embed, just to differentiate. Double click on it. Embed. Okay. So I created two data sets. And if you right click on that, you can see a new option, add calculated field. You can add a calculated field, that is a field, either hard-coded values, or you might have seen the named calculation in SSAS. When we were discussing about data source view, we discussed about named calculation using which you can have a calculated field. So in the same way, you can have a calculated field here for the data set. These these five are the columns or fields that are available in the data set. And if you want to give any sixth one, let's say I'm giving the name test, and I can give either expression or some hard-coded value. She is a trainer. So now a new column is added, and this column will hold the data that is hard-coded by me. That's the hard-coded value given by me, that is Rupesh is a trainer. So this is how you can go for calculated fields. And you can pass some dynamic values, like you can make use of two values that are available and concatenate. You can make so much of stuff using this calculate option. This is again expressions. You don't get worried. You are new to this part, so don't get worried. I will have a separate session on this expression. Let's say here I'm taking first sales amount plus tax amount as the expression for this, and I'll name it as total, and I'll rename it as tax, and I'll rename it as sales. And here, if you see, it is sales amount and tax amount, and this field name part is the one what it will be visible to you. That means I can change it. I changed it to sales, I changed it to tax, and I've added a new one with the name total. And the field source is the one that you are is present in the database. Let's say in database, what's the name of that? Name of the particular this column, products column, that is English product name. Instead of English product name, I can give it as products. A better name, right? So you can change the names, or you can create alias to the columns or fields using the column field name. Instead of color, I'll give colors. Class, let it be class only. So this is about the fields page in this wizard. The first one we discussed is query, and the second one is fields. So if you see the option when you use here the refresh fields, this option is used whenever you modify the query and you are pulling new columns, or you are removing the existing columns, existing fields. Let's say these are the 5 fields that are part of this query, and if you add 5 more fields to this select statement, then you have to refresh it so that everything will be refreshed here. The newly added columns will be added to this, and removed columns will be removed from here. Removed columns in the select statement will be removed here. So that is the use of the option refresh fields. This refresh fields is mostly used when you use stored procedures. If you pass a stored procedure name, and as you don't have much knowledge on stored procedures, I cannot expect. I mean, I don't expect that you will get the concept or you will understand the use of refresh fields here. So whenever we discuss about stored procedure, query type stored procedure, then I will demonstrate an example on the same. But I will give you a brief about it. The stored procedure, if you use a stored procedure, it will be like this. You have to provide the stored procedure name here. Okay. And if you go to the fields will be created. When you modify the stored procedure in the database, then this will not be automatically refreshed. So to refresh the same, you use this refresh fields option. So we'll see with an example when we talk about stored procedures. So this is about queries and fields and also the option calculated field. Okay. Now, before going to the remaining things in the sense we have options here. This is not of high priority. You don't need to worry about it here. You don't need to worry. There is nothing much to change here. Everything is a predefined one, and we will have a little discussion on this. And filters and parameters. Before discussing about these three, let's design the report. Now we have data source ready, and the data sets are created on the data source. Now let's try to create a report using let's say table format. I'm taking a table format. Let's see how to generate a report using the data sets that I have. So I dragged and dropped a table report item. Now the first property I have to set is, if I click on, when the mouse is on a particular cell, you can see an icon is becoming visible, and when I move it to new one, it is showing in this particular cell right hand side upper corner. So what this is, this will list all the fields that are present. So when I click on this, you can see this is your Adventure Wow ADV data source, and in that you have using that you have embed data set, and this is embed data source, and there is no data set in that, and this is direct data sets, in that you have sales. You understood this? Using ADV data source, that is the one what you are seeing here, ADV data source, I created a data set called embed. So under ADV, you can see the data set embed. Under that you have all the fields. And next one is embed data source. Using embed data source, I have not created any data set. And the sales data set I create, that is a shared one. I have not used any data source here, right? So that is why it is showing as data sets. Under data sets, I have sales and I have different fields. Let's say if I select class here, I have selected class. Now if you go to the properties and see the data set name property, one second, let me select this, and now let's see data set name property somewhere here. Yeah, the data set name property is set to prod underscore sales, the shared data set I'm using, right? So the data set name is set to prod underscore sales. This is the first property you need to set whenever you are working on either table or matrix reports. So now this is automatically taken based on the selection I have done. I have selected this from a data set called prod underscore sales. Now, oops, this has taken a wrong guy, I think. Just a second, guys. This should be sales, not prod underscore sales. And you can see this class is taken. This is creating a problem whenever I use this shared data set. Let me correct it. Give me a second. The data set name, I have two data sets, one is sales and embed, but whenever I select this, it is taking only fields from the current data set sales can be added. So this is the problem. Use a shared data set. Let me name it as the same. And now let's see whether it works or not. Yeah, this is working fine. So the problem is I think I can call this one as problem at Microsoft 10. So I've used this shared data source. Observe this very clearly. I've used this shared data source to create a data source called sales. Earlier it was sales. Now I changed it to prod_sales. And if I set this property, the data set name, I can set the data sets that are available here. I can't set the data set that is available or that I use to create any data set. I cannot use the shared data set name. So if you see, if I select this prod_sales, earlier it was sales, it was trying to take this, but it is treating these columns belongs to this, the prod_sales. That's the wrong functionality given by Microsoft. I don't think so. I've never tried with this shared data source. Why? Because I always create embedded data sets. I've never tried with shared data sets. So that should not be the way to program. For example, I have to give the same name here. If I give a new name, it will throw error. If you see here, then it will say, this guy will say, if I give sales, this is working fine. But here if you see, sorry, let me go to this. And here if you see, the name is set to sales, fine. Yeah, now it is working here. There is something wrong, setting it, initially I set this to sales, it was throwing a lot of errors. Now, after that I changed to prod_sales. It was not throwing errors. Again, I changed it back to sales. What could be the reason? Can anyone go for the guess? What could be the reason? The reason is, as I told you in SSAS, we covered most of the places, right? In most of the places we discussed about object ID and object name. I think this guy is taking the object ID. Now object ID is prod_sales, might be. So, yeah, as Pawan said, it might be because of object ID. So to clear this confusion, let me use the data set, not this one. I'm gonna use embed data set so that you will get clear picture. Instead of sales, I'm taking embed, which will make everything clear. So I'm selecting class, I'm selecting English product name, and I'm selecting sales amount here. And to add a new column, right click on this and click on either right or left and add tax amount. So here if you see, I have taken 4 columns to generate a table report, and this white area is not required one for me. So let me collapse this back. Now what I've done, I've taken the data, I've created the shared data sources and embedded data sources, and I've created shared data sets and embedded data sets. And I created a simple table report by setting the property of the data set of the table to the embed data set, whatever I created here, and by using couple of columns. If I click on preview, you can see the preview of the same. You can see all the sales information. The field expression for the data set sales refers to the field. This guy is creating a hell of problems. Let me delete this guy. That is problem because of that. That's what I told you, right? Shared data source. When you use the shared data source, it's creating, shared data set, it is creating a lot of problems. I think this will be rectified. I think this is rectified in the next version of SSRS. And now here, if you see, everything is showing in the tabular report. So this is the 3 steps that you are doing when you use report project wizard. Report wizard. The first step is creating data sources. Yes, created. The second step is creating the data set, created, and third step is selecting the tabular. Apart from this, you are having couple of things. This is grouping part. Let me group it to rows. Let me take it here. Let me have it in details here and here. So this is how I have defined the step block, blah blah blah. And all these table style are not yet done to the report which we have created using report template. Here using wizard, this is what we have done, and similar thing we have done here. And if you talk about report style and designing, you can design it. I selected bold. Now I'm selecting the background color of the same to, let's say, black. Okay, and the font is also in black color, so you cannot see anything. So let me change it to white. So now you can see it in a better way. Increase it, and sales amount, products, and class. And I'm going to add one more column here, insert column to the left, that is color, added. So if you see, this looks a bit better. This formatting also, doing formatting of the report is easy if you use report wizard, but try to learn and do the things using report template. Now this looks a bit better. The thing I have to change here is this is left alignment fine, but this column is left align and data is right align. So let me change it to right align. I selected these two columns. I changed it to right align, and let me see the data now. It should look good. Let's see. It is better. And now the problem is you can see the format. It is after decimals. You are getting four digits, which you don't want. So these two things, I'm changing the formatting part. There is a property called format. I'm formatting it to 2 decimals. Now let me see the preview, whether it looks good or not. I've given comma separator. Let's see. Now it is formatting to 2 digits. So this is how you can format the report. Okay. The same thing you have done using report wizard, but at high level. Here you can format a lot. Let's see. I'm formatting this row, complete row color, and I'm selecting the background color of the complete row using an expression. Don't worry, we will have a separate session on this. If row number of nothing more 2, comma, I'll take this color, else I'll take this color. Let's see how it looks. Is equal to 0. Now I've done some formatting part here. Oops. Something wrong. Let me change it. Yeah. So the functions, if function, row number of nothing, mod 2, let me give space. I don't need this part. True part is given to light gray and false part is given to white. Let me see now. Yep, the report is generating now, and you can see the alternate rows will be on with same color. So this looks even better. So in this fashion, you can design your own report, and if you design report using report template, you can apply all the requirements. You can set, or you can try and apply whatever the requirement is and achieve as per the requirements given by the client. If you use report template wizard, there is nothing much difference. Now the report is ready. Now here you can apply the same thing. This guy will reduce your burden by 10% or max 15%. But after that it will be routine. Editing and making the changes to the look and feel is always in your hand. You have to do, and it's your headache always. It's not the headache taken by the SSRS server. So now if you see the report when I generated, it was not so good. Now this looks at least good. I can say this is better than what we have seen in first step. Okay. And once the report is generated and once it is deployed, you can save this report or you can export this report to different formats. Let's say you will find this menu here. You'll find this tab, and in there you can find a save icon, that is export icon. You can export this into any one of these formats like PDF, Excel, or and CSV files, that is comma delimited, and XML files if you wish to have. Most of the cases people prefer to have or export this data to Excel format. Let me try show you how to export and how it looks once it is exported to the Excel format, and I'll show you a couple of other, and you can try exporting it to Word format and PDF formats. So it is taking time. Let's see. It is asking you to provide the name of the Excel with which you want to save this, and let me leave it as a first template. By default, it will take the report name, whatever the report name is, it will take the same. Now, if you see the first template Excel file is stored in my desktop. And let it open. So you can see the same one, whatever you have seen there, you can see the same data here. All the 60,399 records are exported to the Excel in the same format, with the same look and feel, whatever you have generated, whatever you designed in your using your SSRS. That is one advantage. You can either export to TIFF file or PDF file or CSV, whatever the option you wish to. And if you see, you can directly print it from here. Using this print option, you can print it. And this is print layout if you want to see how it looks. This is how it looks. Print layout, if you see, this is how your report looks if you export it. If you go to the next page, see one extra column is coming to the next page. So what you have to do? While doing it, you have to set it to landscape in this case. And this one is page setup. How you want to set the page. Automatically select, and whatever the size of the page, I mean how you want to type it. Okay, or portrait or landscape. If you set it to landscape, this will be fine. I think the print preview it will cover all the columns. You don't have to ask it over here. You can see the next page. This option is to set the page for printing the things. Okay, and these icons, these buttons is to go to the next page or previous page. Okay, these are the different options, and this one is to zoom your report. Let's say you want to see a pretty bigger one. You can set it to 500% or whole page. You can see the complete report will be shown in the same. Okay, whole page it is a completely fit. Okay, or you can give 75% or whatever the size you want to. And if you want to search for anything in the report, you can search it. If you type something, you can see the find is enabled. So like that, you can use the search option to search the data in the report. So this is about report toolbar, whatever the options that are available. And if you come back to design, you have designed a table report. And you can see there are two groups. One is row group and column group. And and for table reports, nothing will be there. Even this table group, sorry, row group, nothing. You don't have any group option here. And now, let me take a matrix report. Before that, let me increase the size so that I can place matrix here. So I've taken a matrix report, and I'm using the same data set to show. First, I'm taking class, and you can see one group is created, row group. That is the difference between table reports and matrix reports. Table reports will not have any groups, and whereas matrix reports you can have row groups and column groups. And I will take, where is that report data? Here it is. And I will take color as my column groups and English product name as the second row group item, just like your AS output, browser output. Okay, I dragged it here. Let me give a good enough space for this. Class is fine, and I'll align this data to center color. Now in the data part, I'm taking sales amount and tax amount. Now let's see how this looks. Okay, we have seen tabular report. Now I don't want to see this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this part, the complete tablex properties. I'm going to visibility property. We will discuss about all these properties. I'm just demonstrating how the table report and tabular report and how the matrix report looks. If I go to the preview, now it is generating a matrix report. You can see the matrix report is generated. Let me set the default size, that is 100. You can see this is a blank. The first class is blank. The next class is high class. You can see high class data. This is high class. This is low class data. This is middle class data. And everything is splitted based on the column group, that is color. For black, this is the sales amount and this is the tax amount. For blue, this is the sales amount and this is the tax amount. Now let's format this a bit in the same way. I don't want, I will format in the same way that I've done for tabular. So I'm going to the background color of these three, which are part of grouping, and I'm going to set it to black, and I'm going to set the color to white, and I will bold the data. Let me bold the data of these three. Control B, I've done it. Now let me see the and in the same report you can have a number of chart types. You can see now this looks a bit better than the earlier one. What else I have done as part of this? I have also done the formatting of this tax amount and sales amount. I set the format to 2 decimal. Let me do the same. Now let's see how it looks. So a simple change now. I have done a simple format change from value from blank to some value, some type. Now you can see the data will be formatted as we have given. You can see it's formatting to 2 decimals. So in SSRS, every feature for everything, if you want to set some complex functionality or achieve some complex functionality, there will be simple properties. The only thing is you have to know what property is meant for what and what values you can pass for the same. Now everything looks good, but black, it is not specifying whether it is a sales amount or tax amount. Which one is sales amount and which one is tax amount? To do the same, what we can do? Insert row above. I should not insert in the group. Here. So let me move this guy to here and I'll split this. These two are merged into one now. Let me split the cells by right clicking on this and I'll name this guy as sales and this guy as tax. Now let's see how it looks. I've made some changes, simple changes, and let's see how this guy looks now. So this is how you can create table or matrix reports using SSRS report template, and there is lot of features available, properties and features available in this particular SSRS projects, and we are going to discuss each and everything in coming sessions. It is not showing the color. Let me see. Yeah, it is showing silver. And I think something is wrong. Let me rectify the same. So this is the color. Fine. The grouping is here. That is also fine. Here the expression is color. Fine. Let me go back and check where's the problem. Okay. Insert row above and below. Let me go for above. Yeah, this will be fine. Let me take this guy as sales and this guy as tax. And let me bold these two. So, I mean, I'm doing some changes just to make the report feel good. Progress with the more you come to know. Most of these effects, that is the expression part, which is key. No, it is not giving the proper value. Let me check it. I'll check this. This is not a major thing that you need to concentrate on at this point of time. Don't worry about this. And the thing I want to highlight here is in next session, I mean, we're going to discuss about the two important things of SSRS reports, that is filters and parameters, as well as row groups and column groups. We're going to discuss about all these four options in tomorrow's class, which may take more than 1 hour. So, and after that, we'll spend a lot of time on expressions, and then we will revisit these report items that are available in SSRS. So that's it for today's session, and I'll catch you in next session. Thank you very much.